My name is David McGee, and I'm the Executive Director of Build Wealth Minnesota. Have been for the last 20 years as we just celebrated our 20th anniversary, May 17th, 2024. We've been doing Build Wealth Minnesota. Build Wealth actually was a spinoff of another company. Me and my wife had started Mortgage Professional Services Group, where it was an education and training organization that we ultimately turned into a faith-based mortgage brokerage firm. And so what we were doing, we were training people from underserved communities how to get into the financial services arena by teaching people to be underwriters, mortgage underwriters. Mortgage underwriters are the ones who decide whether or not you actually get the loan. They decide that. So we were training people, mainly people of color in underserved communities, a lot of black folks that we were trying to help get into that field for a number of reasons, not only to have livable wages, but also to kind of touch and minimize some of the discrimination that was going on here in the state of Minnesota to get more people of color making the final decision on loans. And so from there, the work was really nonprofit in nature, and we wanted to be a bank, and so we ultimately started the nonprofit Build Wealth Minnesota. We know that God is the one who gives the power to get wealth, and so He gave us the power to educate. And so Build Wealth Minnesota started as an organization of training people and educating people around systems and long-term financial education and social education. And so we created a program called the Family Stabilization Plan that took families and cohorts of families through long-term 12 weeks of education, usually about 36 hours of education. And then midway through, they'd be paired up with a coach that would work with those families for the next 2 years. Real comprehensive, real long, but very effective. And so that's what we've been doing at Build Wealth. We ultimately, as I said, we wanted to be a bank, and so we became a community development financial institution, which is like a non-profit bank. And so we do lending. We do a lot of things that banks do without all the oversight of banks. And so it allows us to do developmental services, developmental education, as well as providing developmental lending, which the communities that we work with usually need developmental lending more so than anything. Most banks turn a lot of people down, but we found a way to provide education, strengthen the families, and help them to actually access resources that they wouldn't normally access without it. And so that's what we've been doing here at Build Wealth Minnesota for quite some time here now, 20 years now running. And I know that there was a question around legacy. And Build Wealth Minnesota, like I said, has been going on 20 years. We've done a great job. We've built a really great referral network. We've never marketed Build Wealth Minnesota, but we've always had full classes for the entire 20 years that we've been in existence. Word of mouth, we've worked with a number of churches. We've been partners with a lot of community organizations, and we've just been doing good work and providing great work and some transformational work to our community. We've been really helping a lot of folks. We build wealth, and the number one way to build wealth is really historically has been through land and home ownership. And we believe that we've helped over 7,000 families get into home ownership, which I think is remarkable. That's a great feat that we've helped do. We've done a lot of work on closing disparity gaps, as Minnesota has had the largest gaps in home ownership between white families and black families. And we've been really for the last 15 years, we've been aggressively engaging in opportunities to help close disparity gaps. And so that's something that we've been really doing a great job in. Build Wealth Minnesota has started, as I started Mortgage Professional Services, the parent company of Build Wealth, with my wife. And then ultimately, we've had a number of our children have gone to college, gotten master's degrees and bachelor's degrees, and have come to work with us here at Build Wealth Minnesota, along with another team of great people from around the community to really help transform lives is what we're really doing here. We're helping transform lives and teaching people around systems and how to navigate systems, good and bad, and how to use those to build wealth, both social and economic wealth for their families. And we've been doing a lot of work around helping families that believe that there's no hope. That's actually one of the things that we do is we help generate hope, restore hope for folks that have had challenges, for folks who have been told no, for folks who have been discriminated against. And when we talk about the social wealth I mentioned earlier, a lot of us have some social challenges that have stemmed from our trauma in our lives. And many of us have had trauma, and most of us have had financial trauma for the lack thereof or having too much money. Not many of us had too much, but a lot of us have had a lack thereof because of discrimination and some other practices. And so a lot of times people believe, they've been conditioned to not have hope, and because they've been turned down and they've seen a pattern of generational lack, generational poverty, it's been very difficult for families to even think that they can own a home or can get their credit restored and can turn things around. We have systems, as I told you before. We're teaching about systems, and there's good and bad systems, and there's a lot of systems that are out there that prey on folks. So we've got predatory lending products that prey on people, and that's what they do for generations. Your mother did it and your grandmother did it, and so therefore the insurance men that used to come knocking door to door right to the corner lots that charge excessive interest rates on car loans, 26 and 30% interest on a car loan. That's like that's like a loan shark. And how can you possibly get ahead when you're constantly paying more for everything? So Build Wealth has been helping families build sustainable and social and economic wealth and lowering the cost of money. Money is expensive, and if you don't know how to navigate those systems and bring that stuff to the surface, a lot of people lose hope. And so we help people to understand systems, teach them about how they work, teach them about where they fit, teach them to let them know that they are not less than, and they are worthy of more. We do a lot around employment readiness, where we're finding folks that the system of employment is at will. And so employers are willing to pay you at will what you're willing to accept as a salary. And so a lot of families that we work with are underpaid substantially. And so what we've been doing is helping people to articulate their skill sets. And a lot of people have been working for 17 years, but still making $17 an hour, and that's not right. So those people usually, if you start looking at what their skill sets are, their education is, and their employment history, if you put those all together, they're probably worth $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year. And so we've been helping folks to navigate these new, now technology is here that allows you to just speak into your phone and ask what you should make based on these skill sets, and it's coming back. Employers can't lie anymore. So, but once again, we've got to address the hope and help people to be able to articulate just who they are and why they deserve more than what they're making. If you're only making $17 an hour, but you're worth $73,000, which is $37 an hour, why are you not making that amount? And your employer knows your skill sets. And so we've been finding a way to help them articulate their skills and their worth to the marketplace as well. So we've been helping families in a number of different areas. Homeownership seems like the scariest thing for a lot of people. It seems like almost impossible, especially in the state of Minnesota, if you're a person of color, to even consider the possibility of becoming a homeowner. And so we take away a lot of those fears and show them the pathway and show them how that they can attain it and get them into home ownership as well. But for me personally, I've been trying to set a legacy for my children. I needed them to see everything that I've gone through, and it's been this organization. This is my 9th business venture, so my children see that I've been an entrepreneur for quite a long time, and it's hard work, and it's a lot of hours, and a lot of times you take away from what they have, you take away from them while you're trying to build this, especially as a black man in America, trying to build anything of value that requires the level of engagement as this organization has. It's taken a lot of time away from my children. And usually I know a lot of other men are in the same boat. I know my dad worked 18-hour days, back in the 60s and 70s, and that's like workaholic. I just started doing the same thing he was doing, but I was taking away a lot of the social wealth out of my family, and I was trying to build a solid foundation to leave something to my children's children. I believe in that, and the legacy of my sons and my daughters, trying to pour into them honest, real honest truth around life and around obstacles that they have to face, and around having resources and saving resources and having money. My dad always told me to make sure you always have money for a rainy day, so to speak, and trying to build that into them. I tease my sons now and my daughters that at any given time I should be able to come to you and you should be able to write me a check for $5,000. A lot of times we work and we don't really manage, and we're not good stewards over our resources, and teaching them how to be good stewards over the resources is critical. And there's always going to be another generation, and I'm just critical right now that God gives us all these gifts and these talents, and it is critical that you nurture those talents by any means necessary. I know having financial resources have always been an obstacle, especially in my community and in our family, having resources to seed and to nurture gifts and talents. But if God is the one giving the talents and the gifts, I think that He will provide. He'll provide the resources that are necessary for those gifts to flourish. And I think one man was the saying that one man plants, another one waters, and God gives the increase. I believe that. And I believe that we're in a place right now as it relates to legacy. We've got to open up opportunities for those gifts and those talents to flourish. And we've got to take away all the barriers and all of the obstacles that stand in their way. And if we can be good at leaving a little something, and to seed the grandchild's life, their gifts and their talents, I think that's critical. I think I've set the stage in this organization to show my grandchildren. They come here, they work during the summers. My grandchildren are here working. I have some of my sons are working here. Several of them have degrees in different fields, but they've been able to come and use their talents and their gifts and their education to help the organization while they're growing their gifts and their talents. So I think it's critical that we invest in their gifts and their talents, even if it's just information, guidance, giving them things to avoid, helping them to maybe avoid some of the obstacles and barriers and hills you had to climb, and help them to climb by giving them the tools to do that. I think that's critical. And right now, we talk about insurance. A lot of people don't even have insurance, and people are passing the hat around when people die in our family. It's critical that we have proper amounts of insurance so that when I leave here, my wife won't be struggling, and my children won't be struggling, and my grandchildren won't be struggling. because I made sure that there was insurances in place, and then there's assets that they have that they can use to grow. I've been bringing my children together, and we created an LLC where we came in and we looked at business opportunities and ideals based on the gifts that are around the table that we could do. And we started that. We came up with 19 different business ideas between the 9 of us. And then we started all putting money into a pot. And then we chose the top 3 that we could work on, and we started working on them. You know, these are things that build legacies, and guess what we did? So we had the grandbabies that were out in the lobby area every time we met. And so now we're bringing the grandbabies in to name stuff and see what their thoughts are around the gifts and the ideals that we're talking about. That's legacy building at its best. And so that's some of the things that we've been doing to build legacies. And I think I'm set. I'd like to see more, but I think I've done a lot to bring a legacy to them to see things that I've built and grown in community. I've helped thousands of families, thousands, and a lot of them had to see me pouring into other families and taking away their time. But then they can see the results and the rewards of these other families growing and building wealth and owning homes and owning businesses and expanding businesses through the gifts that God has given me. And they have seen the importance of that, and now they kind of have good giving spirits, and they want to see the same, and they want to see that helping is always going to be sowing and planting and reaping is real. And as long as you're helping other people, there's a way for you to set your legacy as well. As long as I'm planting and sowing, God is always pouring back into me and my family's lives.